the stand. Now he runs. He produces a magic print. He pulls out another one. This is incredible. This is ridiculous. This is 15 out of 10 on the incredible meter. What a player. What an entertainer. Give him the medal. Give him the Delier medal.
Hello, footy fans, and welcome back to the Chip and Chase podcast. We're here. Super Saturday has concluded. We're recording this one at 10:50 p.m, getting ready to record our previews for the Sunday games. And what a Super Saturday we just got through. Obviously, we'll go through all those games in a bit more depth when we get to the reviews. But Rabbitohs, Warriors, Seagulls, Panthers, Dolphins, Tigers. We had three terrific games for our Saturday, so really enjoyed them. My tipping this week, not going well, but we'll see if we can, muster something up here with our Sunday tip. So we'll get right into that one. Of course, the first game on our Sunday is, of course, the Cowboys, the North Queensland Cowboys, taking on the Gold Coast Titans at 4:05 p.m. in Queensland Country Bank Stadium, Townsville. So the Cowboys, they're currently sitting in 4th place, Titans in 16th. Not sure how that translates with, the ladder movements, but that's just what I've got written here in front of me. So we'll start by this one, just looking through a few of the ins and outs. Now, the Cowboys, they're very lucky in the sense that they don't have any changes to their side. Very much a full strength side that they got here. Of course, no Hylam Lukey, but he's been missing for a couple of weeks now. But besides that, that's the only sort of player that they're missing from their side. So in terms of the Titans, there's a few more changes. They have decided to drop Alofiana Khan-Pereira. They've brought in Harley Smith-Shields. On the other side of the field, Philip Sami, the other winger, he is out after I believe it was the hip drop tackle last week. Turns out he's got a bit of an injury there, so he's going to miss a couple weeks there. So Jojo Fafita is the man to replace him. So 2 new wingers for the Gold Coast Titans for this clash. We'll have to see how these ones go. I really like both of these players, but then again, I'm also a massive Sami fan. And even Loffy was great for them last year. So we'll have to see how this one goes. For the Titans as well, important to note, David Fafita, he played for the Titans last week, managed 55 minutes off the bench straight. He is once again named on the bench in this one. And the other change for them is that Aaron Clark is now the run-on lock. Kenan Palacio was a late out for them last week. He's going to miss a few games by the looks of things. And Isaac Liu is out for them as well. So Josiah Pahulu is also on the bench. I'm not sure if this is his debut. He may have played last week. Let's have a quick look at that, just so I don't have all of my stuffs wrong. Josiah Pahulu didn't play last week. Cool. Thought so. So this is his debut for this one. So congratulations to Josiah. But in terms of the tips I have for this one, I have tipped the Cowboys, as I suppose most people have. Titans haven't really fired a shot, to be honest, this year. Looking very complacent. Just, there's not much going on. They looked a little better last week. They had a little bit more direction and a bit more spark with Jaden Campbell in the side. But it's not enough to make me pick them, especially over this Cowboys side, who have been absolutely terrific. They did, of course, get the loss last week. The Cowboys stopping their undefeated streak. They lost to their rivals, the Queensland rivals in the Broncos. But when you listen to a Broncos side, the grand finalists of last year expect to be at the pointy end of the ladder this season. It's not too much of an L. They weren't great, but they've showed us enough this season that we can expect them to stand up, and I expect them to do just that in this game. So I've tipped them in this one. Pretty confident in that. In terms of how I see it playing out, well, let's be honest, the Cowboys I don't see a world where the Titans can just defend them across the forward pack, across the backs, across the halves, like the spine. There has not been a stage this season that the Titans have really showed that they can do that. And the Cowboys, on the other hand, are the complete opposite in the sense that they can attack from anywhere, and they've continued to do so. Even last week against the Broncos, obviously not their best game, but the way that they scored their points were expansive. So they can put on a bit of a score here. And if the Titans are going to be relatively relaxed in defense, it's going to be a very difficult game for them. So very, very confident in the Cowboys getting away with the win in this one. We'll go straight over into No. Let's not forget the matchups this time. So, in terms of matchups, it's a difficult one to look at. You can go straight to the fullbacks, but fullbacks are always an easy out in terms of the matchups because everybody, fullbacks are the most exciting players in our games. They tend to be our best players in your team, so you always go there and go, yep, fullback, bang, pencil them in for the matchup. And in saying that, it is a fantastic matchup here. Jaden Campbell, Scott Drinkwater. Scotty a blue? I think Scott Drinkwater's a blue. I was going to say they're both Queensland fullbacks, but I don't think that's the case at all. Wait, Jaden Campbell might even be a blue. I don't even know anymore. Look, regardless, those two, it is a fantastic matchup there. But I will have a look around to see if there's something else I can look at. I don't mind AJ Brimson. What is he? He's their right centre, so he'll be marking up against Valentine Holmes. That's quite exciting to me. Valentine, he's had a bit of an indifferent season this year, and AJ, I think he's tried hard and he's trying to conjure something. He doesn't look all that comfortable out there at centre, but, he's just a Titans player through and through, so he's always going to try and conjure something. There's an interesting battle there between those two. Very different circumstances for those sort of players. But again, I've also sort of been sitting here all season looking at centres as my duels because for some reason, centre it's my new favourite position or something. But let's see what we can find elsewhere across the park. Look, there's not much more screaming out to me. I'm hoping we get a big game from Beau Fermor. Of course, he's been settling himself back into the game this season, coming back from injury. So pretty quiet to start the season. Not that he's been bad at all, but you expect that. A lot of people coming back from, I believe it was an ACL from him. It's always difficult to come back, especially that first season when you're coming back. You're never really at your best. You're always down on that sort of form. But I'm hoping he builds into the season a bit more. I'd like to see a really good game from him, not just because he's in my Supercoach side, but just because I think he's so integral to this Titans team. The way he was before the injury, there was arguments that he was the better of the second rowers, and David Fafita was in that side. He was playing so well. So I'd love to see him get back to that form. Beyond that, honestly, the halfback duel is an interesting one in this one. I think Tanner Boyd has been really poor. I think obviously the Titans club in general this season, very, very disappointing, but Tanner Boyd particularly poor, very disappointing, which is unfortunate. I'm a Tanner Boyd fan. I thought last year he was really, really great for them, and I thought he was going to be the halfback to lead them into the future. They've had a lot of rising stars come through their ranks, a lot of Australian schoolboys, Tanner Boyd, Toby Sexton, Thomas Weaver, the new one. And, they elected to let Sexton go. They settled on Tanner Boyd. He was great last season. He's been really poor this season, while Chad Townsend is having a terrific season. Very different, sort of circumstances in the way they're performing, but they're very similar sort of players in the way that they do play. They're controlling halves. There's not necessarily an expansive running game. They pick their moments, very peculiar. And I like that as a matchup. As I said, very, very opposite ends of the spectrum in how they are currently performing. But that's not a bad matchup. But look, honestly, across this park, there's not too much. The worst part about this is that with this Titans team, there's just not too much excitement in the first place. There's no one I'm looking at going, ooh, I'm excited to see how they match up against, because this Titans team they've really provided nothing, unfortunately, so far in 2024. And I say that as they're my second favourite team. If I had to pick a team that wasn't Warriors, it would be the Titans. They sort of came into the NRL right when I was sort of picking it up and getting into footy and playing footy. When I was playing footy as a young lad, I didn't really have a team until I really got into it around 2010, 2011, which of course is when I decided to support the Warriors. But the Titans always loved their colours, always loved the Gold Coast. So everything about them as a club, it really spoke to me. Scott Prince was probably my favourite player when I was really young and didn't really know too much about footy. So the Titans, they're my second favourite team, to be honest, and I'm really upset that with how they've performed this year, and I can only imagine what actual diehard fans of the team would be feeling. But yeah, I guess you have to settle with the fullbacks for this one, because we know that they are excitement machines. And Jaden Campbell, he did look good last week, one of the only Titans that did. So I'll settle on the fullbacks. It's an easy cop-out answer, but hey, we're here to make the best of it. So in terms of the bets that I have for this game, well, the bet I might have a few bets on here and there, but the only ones I'll speak about on the multis, on the podcast, are the multis. My apologies. So with this one, I've actually got the Gold Coast Titans to cover the line. Now, when I placed this bet, the line was at 16.5 points. So basically what that means for any of you who don't particularly know how lines work, how betting works, it essentially means that the Gold Coast Titans have a 16.5 point head start. So if they lose this game by 16 points, it will still count it as a win. It'll count that leg as a win because it's a 16.5 market. If they lose the game by 17 or 18 points, tough luck, that market goes down. But yeah, it's essentially a 16.5 head start. So that is the first leg of the multi. The second leg is that I've got Jeremiah Nanai to score a try. This is something that you can do with multis. Not that I'm trying to advocate betting at the best of times. I'm just here to have a bit of fun. But if you bet on a team to win, or just a team to win, say I've bet on the Titans in this instance, but then the second leg of my multi is a player from the opposing team to score, it skyrockets the money. So that's always a nice thing to do if you can get away with a team winning, but a player on the opposite team scoring a try. It skyrockets the odds a bit. Not that I'm in any way, shape or form confident in this bet, but yeah, my second leg is Jeremiah Nanai to score a try in this game, and the third leg is for the match to go over 46.5 total match points. That one I am confident on. I think, Titans, they don't defend well. Cowboys, they do attack well. This is possibly a 60-point game. Who knows? 60 points could just go to the Cowboys alone. Who really knows how that one's going to go? So confident in that leg getting up. Not so confident on the rest, but hey, it's really good odds. I didn't mind it as a bet. I was originally just going to go Cowboys 13 plus. 13 plus. But then when I noticed, the plus 16.5 line for the Titans, I'm like, look, that's better value. So I've thrown that one in there. Fingers crossed we can get that one up. But the odds for this multi come to $10.75. So if you're placing $1 on that and every leg gets up, you win $10.75 back to the dollar. Once again, I will read through these legs just in quick succession. We have Gold Coast Titans plus 16.5 line. We have Jeremiah Nanai as an anytime try scorer, and we have over 46.5 total match points for the odds of $10.75. So without any further ado, we will get straight into the last game of round 5, the last game of our Sunday games. We have the Canberra Raiders taking on the Parramatta Eels at 6:15 p.m. GIO Stadium in Canberra. Now, what I've got written here is the Raiders are currently in 10th, which is crazy. I thought they've been fantastic this year. Eels currently in 11th. Then again, I thought they've been pretty good as well. So very, very similar circumstances for these two clubs. So it's an interesting game to go ahead with. Once again, we will start with the ins and outs. If you haven't seen the Instagram, guys, I do all these sort of ins and outs on posts, so please do check them out. It's just a bit easier. But quickly, for the Raiders, they've got a couple of ins and outs. Zach Hosking is missing in this one. He copped a pretty nasty head knock in the last round. So Adam Mariota comes into the side at second row. I'm not quite sure if that's how he will line up. Is probably more of a middle in my eyes. When you've got players like Sima Sasangi and Corey Horsburgh on the bench who can play out there, I'd expect maybe a late change. While we're on that, Sima Sasangi, he comes in for his club debut for the Raiders. He's in jersey 16, so on the bench for them. So that's really cool to see. And that's the only sort of real news for them. James Schiller still in this side after last week. So yeah, that's all for the Raiders. In terms of the Parramatta Eels, apologies, just had to do a small cut there. Had some sirens go past the window, so we didn't want to include that. But in terms of the teams' ins and outs for the Parramatta Eels, there is not really much to note. Just that Brendan Hands is out of this side with Wiramu Greg coming into it, and also that Bailey Simonson is back into the centres with Morgan Harper dropping out. Those are the only changes for the Parramatta Eels. So we'll get straight into the tips. Now, this one, of course, was a really hard one to tip. I've gone with the Parramatta Eels just because, of what we know last year. Oh, we say what we know last year. I guess Raiders did finish ahead of them on the ladder. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just a vibe pick. Eels obviously got the L last week to the Tigers in a very close affair. There's something about this team. I really believe in it, and I have for a few years now. The Raiders, they've been really impressive this year. I've been really impressed with how they've performed. I actually think this year they've been better than they were last year so far. But I don't know what it is. Honestly, it could just be a vibe pick. I have no begrudges to anyone who's picking the Raiders to win this one, especially now that it's down in Canberra. It was always down in Canberra, especially since it's down in Canberra. Yeah, definitely could go the way of the Raiders. I've just picked the Eels based on a vibe. In terms of how I see them winning it, well, it's going to be a really tough battle. If the Eels go back to what they knew worked, like in the first couple of rounds, in terms of bringing Junior Paulo and Ryan Madison off the bench, I think they can win this. But it's going to be an incredible forward pack duel in general. The Raiders up there with the best, the most depth, the best forward pack, just impact everywhere across the park. The Raiders have an incredible forward pack, so I'm really excited to see how they match up. But yeah, I'm not sure if I think if the Eels do what they did last week in that losing effort, and they use Paulo and they use Madison the way that they did then, I think they're going to come to an L here. But if they go back to what they knew worked in the first couple of weeks and they bring that impact off the bench, I really do believe in this side to get the job done. In terms of how I see it playing out, it's just going to come down to the decisions made there. I am really excited for the forward pack duel, as I just said. I think even at the hooker duel, if you look at that and go, these are sort of two hookers that just fought their way into the squads. Definitely not the most expansive hookers, not absolute guns out there, but they've been brought in to do the job, and I think they're doing incredible jobs for their side so far. So I think it's all going to come off the back of the forward pack. But even if this is a tight tussle in the middle and no team's really getting the upper hand in terms of the forward pack duel and momentum in the middle, it's going to come down to the halves, and who are we backing to do that? Honestly, I'm going to back the Raiders. I think Jamal Fogarty at halfback just brings a lot more experience as a controlling game halfback, a game manager than Dylan Brown does. I thought Dylan Brown was good last week, but realistically, he played as a 5'8", and so did Blaze Talangi. They were just running with 5'8" out there. Or the Raiders, if they can, sort of match momentum in the middle, I think Fogarty will kick to corners. He'll just control this game, and the Raiders grind out a win. So honestly, the more I think about this game, the more I actually think the Raiders will get it done. But I've tipped the Eels. I'm going to stick with my vibe pick there. But yeah, not quite sure how this one's going to go. I'm just excited for a great game of rugby league. In terms of the matchups, we've just spoken about a couple there. Danny Levi, Joey Lussick. I really do like that as a matchup. As I said, just the way that they've come into this side. They're both battlers. They've both earned that position over some other opposition, some competition in their respective sides. And I think they've been really, really good this season. So I really like that as a little matchup. See who comes out the better of the two in this one, especially like in a super coach sense as well. These are the two cheapy hookers to make all the money. A lot of people had one or sold one to the other. There was a lot going on with these sort of players. So it'd be really interesting to see which one of these scores more in this one and if you made the right choice down the track. So I really like that just from a little bit of a super coach perspective, a little bit of fun as well. Beyond that, you've got to look at Ethan Strange, Blaze Talangi. I think Strange is 18, might be 19 nowadays. But yeah, these two young fellas into their sides and into that 5'8" duel. I've said it, Blaze Talangi and who they versed last week, the Tigers, Lachlan Galvin. That was my matchup last week. And the week before that was Ethan Strange up against Lachlan Galvin, and that was my matchup that week. So it's always these young 5'8", but honestly, the way that they've all come into the grade so far and the way that they've been playing, I've been really impressed, and that's why I'm sitting here going, these are my matchups. That's what I'm excited to see, and it's the same that goes here. So Ethan Strange, Blaze Talangi, the 5'8" duel, that is my matchup of the week. Or the matchup of this game, I suppose. Maybe not the matchup of the week. But that one sort of wraps us up. We just go into our bets to actually finish this one off. Sorry for the sort of skitterbrain podcast in this one. It's late. I've had a long weekend, a long week. I just want to get this one out for all you who actually tune into these ones. And if you enjoy this, well, good on you. But yeah, I'm not at the peak of my powers right now. Alas, we will finish this one off with the bets. So for my multi for this game, I've started with the Parramatta Eels head-to-head. Once again, just the vibe pick. Really good odds in both these sides. No one really knows which ways it's going to go. So if you wanted to just substitute that out to Raiders, fair play. It won't be too much odds. The odds won't be too much different. But I've gone the Parramatta Eels off that vibe. I've got Ethan Strange as an anytime try scorer. There's a lot of value in Ethan Strange to score a try. And I've got the match going under 42.5 total match points. Now, this is my biggest multi of the week. The odds of this come to $31.25. So if you put $1 on that and all three of those legs got up, you win $31.25 back. So once again, I'll read through them. That is the Parramatta Eels head-to-head. Ethan Strange is an anytime try scorer and under 42.5 total match points for the odds of $31.25. So yeah, really a bit of an expansive multi there. Probably won't get up, but hey, if it does, look, I haven't got too many. Actually, I've got 0 multis up this week. I got a few last week, so that made up for it. But if this one gets up, it makes up for every single one that I've missed so far this week. So let's take it down right to the wire, right to the last game of the round, and let's hope to win some money there. But that one will do us for this podcast. Once again, apologies for this, scatterbrain sort of speaking, just the format of it all. It's been very here, not here nor there. I'm struggling with the sentences. Let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.